Okay, hello everyone. My name is Patrick, and I think we should be live. I hope we are live. I see 53 viewers already, so thank you so much for tuning in. Today we have a little bit of an interview going on. So I'm going to be talking with the SyncAI team, Adnan and Sam, who are also pretty good friends of mine and who I stayed with in India this year for 2 months. And there's currently the SyncAI IDO going on MinSwap. So we'll be talking a little bit about the project and about the token and the token utility and all that kind of stuff. Full disclosure, I'm also an advisor for the SyncAI team, and Maker in general is partnering with SyncAI. So obviously, we have a lot of things that we have planned together. But yeah, for now, let me bring up the team on stage. Welcome, Adnan. Welcome, Sam. How are you today?
Good, Patrick. Thank you for hosting this. Really appreciate it. Always good to coming from you being like a core Cardano community member, helping builders like us, pushing ideas forward, pushing the ecosystem forward. So appreciate that.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Sam, I think it's very funny that you're sitting in front of that picture that I've seen every day for like 2 months. That's so hilarious. Um, but yeah, it's good to see both of you again. Maybe before we start with SyncAI, I think what would be great is if you can both introduce yourself and talk a little bit about your background and what you've done before, and and how you met, maybe as well. And if you want, Sam, please go ahead and begin.
Yeah, sure. So I've been in the Cardano ecosystem for 5 years now, being part of a lot of projects. And I started out at Gimbal Labs as smart contract dev, and from there, I worked with a lot of Cardano projects for their smart contracts, and also a lot of other stuff like auditing and things. And it's been a fun ride in Cardano, and also like working with a lot of projects on like with you, like it is really great. Yeah.
How about you, Sam? Adnan, sorry.
Yeah, no worries. So I've been in the Cardano space since past 4 years. And that's how Sam and I met. Uh, Fortunately, in one of the first Cardano summit, which was like virtual, which was happening in India, and we just met through like a Telegram group, and it was like so funny. But yeah, I've been in the space since past 4 years, working as a product architect for multiple startups. So even we have worked very closely, Patrick, on a lot of things. And apart from that, I've also worked as a research partner at a Web3 venture capital firm for 2 years in India. So my whole journey I've been talking to a lot of founders, builders, products in the space. I have DD'd a lot of pitch decks. So coming from the background that has studied a lot of new ideas coming to the table and have been seeing them fail or grow and things like that. So but internally throughout the journey, I really felt there are some very key pressing issues that no one is actually addressing. Everyone is focusing on new roll-ups, new chains, new bridges and things like that, but they are completely forgetting the core aspect from an end consumer perspective. And that's why started working on the idea since Q4 of last year. And that's how I pitched it to you and to a lot of people in the space, and have gotten like very good feedback, validation, and we have refined it over stages. And I'm absolutely happy with the output we have at the moment, in terms of our roadmap and in terms of the vision on how we want to take it forward, from both technical perspective and from like a business point of view as well, because we want to create a positive net revenue stream for the network in the upcoming months. So yeah, excited to dive deep into the conversation and happy to be here.
Happy to have you. Yeah. So, I have a lot of questions, and I think the audience does as well. I'm gonna share the website here a little bit so we can all see it in the same time. So, you already mentioned, okay, there's a lot of issues that are being overlooked at the moment. I think you mentioned mostly user experience issues, right? And no one is really focusing on how the end user interacts with the blockchain. Instead, there's like 100 new layer ones and layer twos, and ZK rollups and all this kind of stuff, which all sounds fancy, but in the end just makes blockchain more complicated. So can you tell me, what's the short pitch? What is SyncAI?
Yeah, so in very short, we are building a one-click super app which is powered by a distributed group of nodes, which really solves three key things. So the first thing is that we still have the issue of fragmentation. We still have to use different wallets for different chains. We still have to interact with dApps in siloed manner in our Chrome tabs or browser tabs with 100 different wallets with different chains. So there is an issue of fragmentation there, and
This is
plus
how SyncAI will change your
not to forget that when people come in Web3, we completely disregard that they're coming from Web2. They're coming with their own Web2 identities. We completely forget that. So there is no interoperability in terms of that. And the second issue is more on that the users on the blockchain don't have any ability to know what is happening with their dApps or with their interactions. There is no interconnected communication system between existing applications and their users in terms of sending alerts, notifications, or updates regarding their existing positions or trades or whatever the interaction is. And the third problem is, since they don't have this infrastructure, that's why you can't solve the third problem. But the third issue is there is no immediate infrastructure to take one click actions. Like, if you are not aware about your lending positions or your leverage positions on chain or about your trades, how are you going to take immediate actions? And even if you know that, you still have to juggle between multiple wallets, multiple tabs, connect your wallet, see what's happening, build the transaction, and still go through that lengthy process, especially if you're a cross-chain user. So Sync is basically consolidating every aspect of it into one single intuitive interface. So that's like the quick pitch.
Okay, so basically, I'll try to rephrase it, and then you can tell me if I'm right. So basically, what you're saying is, number one, there's a lot of different chains, and you need to have a lot of different wallets, which is difficult. Number two is you don't really know as a user what's going on, except if you check like all the different marketplaces, all the dexes, all the DeFi platforms every day. It's very hard to keep track of everything. And then number three is to do actual actions and to actually trade and do react to these events that are happening. You also are very fragmented, and you have to go to different websites, connect different wallets, swap tokens from one chain to another potentially to do something, right? And you are basically building an application that combines all of these things and makes it very easy for users to interact with them, correct?
Exactly.
Okay, so it's like a super app.
Yeah, basically, but with a very targeted approach. So it's not like we are building OpenAI for Web3,
Right.
which where you can come and do whatever you want as a user. It's not like that. It comes with a very strategic phased approach of targeting only top DeFi applications and building core 3 to 5 use cases around it for their big user bases who are generating billions of dollars in terms of volume each day.
Mhm.
So that's the goal.
Okay, sounds very good. So let's talk a little bit maybe about the technology. So it's basically from the name we can already tell it has to do with AI. But what actually is it? Can you give like a short rundown, Sam?
Yeah. So with SyncAI, as like Adnan told, we are trying to like better the user experience and also offload a lot of intricacies that people have to go through when interacting with dApps. So Cardano especially is like spoken good about its determinism in all of the transaction operations and like getting to know the transaction cost upfront before submitting and stuff. Determinism is very essential, but like with AI, what we are like what AI opens up is like taking decisions for us, right? We offload our decisions and like a lot of our work to it. So and like improve user experience as well.
Yeah,
So
like just add in one example here, which because I talk to a lot of degens. I'm surrounded by a lot of like traders and these meme coin people who are very interested in some of the key issues. So I think the best way to really break it down in terms of a degen mindset is, suppose it gives you ability. Suppose if you can take limit orders, which is a very simple thing which you can do with the dexes right now. But what if you can take limit orders or put limit orders in terms of whale movements or volume spikes, or in terms of some activity which is happening in the chart? You can't really do it with the existing interface because it will become so complex to have all of these things in terms of like UI. So what sync basically does is, suppose you can come to the interface and just type in, hey, can you buy 1 ETH every time 24-hour volume on ETH USDC pair goes above $1 million. So it's a very specific strategic move that a trader wants to do, but they can't really execute it because the existing applications don't allow it. So how we are going to solve is that Sam was talking about how we have fine-tuned our own LLM to basically deconstruct the natural language query, because LLMs are non-deterministic. You can't really determine the output, but how we are solving it, that while deconstructing, there is a specific set of parameters that it needs to extract information, like what's the input token, what's the output token, what's the condition here basically for the trigger. It's the volume spike, which is going above $1 million. So it takes all of this information and basically it consolidates into two things: trigger and action. So trigger is volume going up, and action is it have to execute a transaction. So we are using Meta Llama 3.8b, which is compatible with OpenAI SDK. So, what OpenAI SDK allows us to integrate external functions. So we can integrate external Oracle APIs, which gives us access to volume-based data based on Uniswap's liquidity pool metrics. That what's the volume, and that's basically a cron job happening. And once that alert is hit, it goes to the next step. Then it really builds the transaction by interacting with the function on the Uniswap contract, which is responsible for the swapping, and it basically alerts the user that, do you want to sign the transaction now, because the event has been completed. That's one way of doing it. The second way of doing it in a more intuitive fashion is that we have partnered with Bioeconomy. They are building a dedicated authorization network specifically for AI based use cases, where you can create a signing key and delegate it to a smart account. And in middle, there is a distributed group of nodes which have shards of those keys, and they can reconstruct that key to sign the transaction in an automated manner if certain conditions are hit. So this is how we are going to do it in a delegated fashion, but that comes later on. First, we are going to allow the user to sign it manually, but as we grow, as we apply the same architecture for Cardano as well, it is going to become very seamless. Suppose, Patrick, I know you are, if you're a good trader, I can just come in and call my copy trading agent and put a job and schedule transactions based on your wallet movements, that whatever trades you are taking, it actually replicates exact same trades based on the money I have logged in the smart account. So it really makes things much more easier and seamless. That's the whole goal.
Okay, understood. And then the end result is basically it's just a chatbot that I interact, right?
Yeah, so there is going to be, so take it as a advanced trading interface, where right now you're interacting with just one box which gives you input token, output token, and you just click the swap button. But it's going to be a chat interface with the same UI of your history and your live orders, so you can check all the cards, that what intents are actually live on what chains, and do you want to take that particular action, and what's the updates happening on top of them. And you get all of these alerts on your mobile app as well. And the beauty of it is that it is compatible with like WhatsApp and Telegram as well, because we just partnered with Nillion and devised a way to integrate your personal Web2 identities with your on-chain addresses in a completely secure and anonymous manner. So now you are not only getting notifications on your mobile app, but directly on your WhatsApp. You can just click and trigger an action from your WhatsApp chat interface. So the whole goal is to bring the entire experience of a cross-chain user into one single UI, which they are already aware of and which they are already comfortable with, in terms of like a GPT UI or like a WhatsApp or a Telegram bot interface.
Okay, Sounds really good. Can you walk me through these like different components that you have here, like
Yeah.
sync ID, sync echo? What is sync ID?
Yeah, so SyncID, as I was talking about that, it basically helps you consolidate your Web 2 and Web 3 identities. So the first problem that I was talking about, the issue of fragmentation, where you have to manage multiple different wallets. Suppose if someone builds some application like SyncAI, and if they don't have an integrated wallet system which consolidates all these on-chain identities, you still have to go to different wallets to sign these transactions, and it becomes really messy. So what we have done is that we have created this module. So whenever someone comes, registers a sync ID in a completely Web2 fashion, it basically creates all of these on-chain addresses in a non-custodial fashion on the backend, and people can import their existing addresses also. So now you don't need 10 different wallets to sign multiple transactions on multiple chains. You can do it so just by handling one single identity, and you can actually attach your WhatsApp number, your Telegram ID, as I was saying, through the blind compute infrastructure which Rillian is providing us in a completely secure manner. So all of the encryption and decryption is happening on the client side on your mobile app, which is acting as like a delivery node basically to send notifications on WhatsApp and Telegram directly from your local device.
Okay, understood. So it's basically the identity layer that you need to be able to interact with SyncAI,
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
And what is sync echo?
Yeah, Sync Echo is the chat interface that we will also have to be able to basically communicate between two sync IDs. And here's a very interesting part I just want to touch upon based on this feature, that we really took inspiration from Zoom. If you know how Zoom actually captured the Web 2 market of video calling and communication is by opening up the infrastructure for everyone basically. Before that, we had Skype, but Skype, made it mandatory to actually register on the platform in order to communicate with people. But Zoom had it interoperable in terms of, you can invite an email or something like that, and you just join in with a link. So that we are applying the same concept in Sync ID, where essentially Sync ID is an aggregate of different Web 2 and Web 3 identities. So in theory, you can actually send a payment or a chat or anything to Elon Musk's Twitter account also. And it is going to be stored for that particular authentication mechanism. So when actually if Elon really comes to the platform, and if you have sent him 10 ADA into his Twitter account, which is directly linked to the Sync ID module, and once the Sync ID module gets activated, because now he has authenticated his Twitter account, he can get access to the 10 ADA, and he can actually communicate with you. So it brings up, like, it opens up a new layer of communication and payments interface, where you can actually send out pull payment requests, and you can chat with people between two sync IDs, or between you and someone sitting in in a third world country who have absolutely zero idea about what Web3 is, but they just hold a Twitter account. So this is what SyncEcho is, and yeah, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, understood.
I can just go on and on, but there
I,
are a
I
lot of
I love
features.
how I expect you to say like one sentence and then you're like, woo. But no, it's great. It's really nice that you can explain it in so much detail. Sync Notify, I think, is very like self-explanatory, right? So basically, every time something happens in my wallet, I need to get a notification, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, that makes sense. And then there's a few more. So what are Sync Echo DeFi intents?
Yeah, so these are the agents that we are going to deploy. So in terms of Cardano, we partnered with DEX aggregators like Husky Fetch and DEX Hunter, which are going to act as resolver pathways. And it really comes in handy when you deploy the agent, which can take actions based on triggers. So you can actually delegate that task to that agent to build the transaction for you and to resolve it through these APIs when a certain trigger or a movement is happening on the chain based on like volume spikes or whale movements, as I was explaining. And when you apply the same concept to the larger cross-chain ecosystem, you can do the same with resolving the transaction with directly interacting with the Uniswap smart contracts, or like larger aggregators like 1inch. So the backend really finds the best possible pathway to resolve the transaction in for very less fees, in a very smooth manner, in a quick manner. And on the front end, you have this interface where you can chat in natural language with these applications to allocate certain tasks to these DeFi agents, which are not possible in the current front ends of these DeFi apps. So that's for DeFi intents.
So would you say that every DeFi agent is basically responsible for one application, or will there be agents that do like multiple applications, or do you not know yet?
No, so it will be based on chain. So Cardano chain will have an agent with a specific function of swapping. So then you can call the swapping function, and you can basically, like, how do you put a slash, and all the functions appear in your chat application, and you can call different functions, like for swapping, for copy trading, and for just triggering a notification for based on whale movements, or to basically sniping if the bonding curve on snake.fun is complete. So we'll have different modules because we don't want to make it super complicated. We just want to have integrations which are going to be really used by the people. So all of the common use cases that you can think of, we are going to have that for a particular chain, and each agent for the one chain, and through that you can actually submit transaction on the top DeFi applications on Cardano and Ethereum and Base and Solana and things like that, because we are going to have like one agent for each chain, which is going to be connected to at least top 2 to 3 major DeFi apps in that ecosystem.
Okay, makes sense. Yeah, and I mean, I have a lot of opinions now on agents as well, since we've
Yeah.
been working with that too. And I think it's really interesting how everything is moving towards AI agents, and there's a lot of like push towards that. And I think it makes total sense to use obviously agents for DeFi. And then the cool thing is that those agents can interact with each other again, and they can like really, the agent on Cardano can inform the agent on Ethereum about certain events, and they can like use that as a trigger or as an input and stuff like that. So that's really, really cool. What are explorer intents? I guess they are just what's happening in the chain in general.
Yeah,
Okay.
exactly. It's like Cardano scan with AI on top of it.
Okay. And the same for governance, of course. Like if there's a governance proposal, that. Okay, that makes a lot of sense.
But on top of that, we're also like working on features where the AI also has like information about like a better understanding of like the world around, not just like the on-chain data, but also like a lot of off-chain data. And we've been securing partnerships with like we are in talks with off-chain data providers like Supra Oracles, and like that's one of Anand's previous working experience. So we've been partnering up with like real world data providers too, which are on-chain and Oracle solutions, so that these right now, which is like deterministic, is like the blockchain executions. We're just like trying to make uh, like an intelligent and secure way for AI to take on-chain decisions and also execute transactions.
Okay, understood. That makes a lot of sense. So you're using oracles to also get real world data into it, basically.
Yeah, basically, like, so the whole goal at the end of, since I mentioned, like, we are not trying to build like OpenAI for Web3, but throughout the journey, the goal is to create a modular infrastructure which is open to every developer, every founder who can utilize these modules in terms of building their own agents also. So that's like the larger goal of the network. When the network operations really open up and we have our own SDKs and things like that, you can have like off-chain triggers, like, if Donald Trump won or not, you just bet on Bitcoin. You can
Right.
put an automated trigger, but it's like far-fetched idea, but it's really possible with this kind of a modular infrastructure.
Okay. So maybe before we go to the token, can you tell me a little bit about the sync node?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what you're seeing right now is the core node architecture, which is responsible for three key things. The first thing is validation, because when you are handling all of these alerts and notification payloads, you need to ensure that they are originating from the correct places. Someone is not coming and trying to uh, maliciously send notifications to a wrong address to just try to get some money or sign some malicious transaction or things like that. So there's a validation system in place where each application which is integrated have a channel ID, and the channel ID and sync ID have a secure tunnel of that communication, and it is validated by a distributed group of nodes which actually validate these payloads just like transactions, how transactions are validated on normal blockchains, but it's an off-chain architecture. So the first task is validation, and the second task is computation, where a lot of processing, regarding these off-chain scripts to set cron jobs or alerts or a lot of these AI use cases where you are interacting with the AI inference. So you need computation, and then you need storage, of course, to store a lot of data related to what users have already put in terms of transactions or basically interactions that they have scheduled and things like that. So the network have real-time access to that information. So when you need these three things, the best possible way to build it is in a distributed node infrastructure manner where you can allow other people to come run these nodes in a completely decentralized fashion, and you basically secure the network. You enable all the computational use cases which the network is providing in terms of end user experience through our super app. And it is going to be basically an open infrastructure where people can come and utilize the SDKs and things, and even integrate. I just had to talk with Minswap that you can just have like a chat interface also once thing goes live inside Minswap Dix, where you can just chat and schedule transactions instead of going through the traditional route of swapping tokens. So there are possibilities with that. And there's going to be a light node also, which is going to be just responsible for validation, because we have certain cross-chain expansion plans on how we are going to distribute these node licenses to people to allow powering up the network for the initial phases, because not everything will go live on day one, and then we are going to slowly release it in a phased manner. So just to touch upon in terms of our roadmap, next month we are going to release our delegators testnet with private nodes where you can stake sync tokens on sync to just basically test out the security and consensus mechanism. And we are then going to open up our node infrastructure in Q1 2025, where people can actually start coming in. We are going to give like limited spots to run nodes, power up the network, go on mainnet, release the web application, and from there have like a phases releases of all the features one by one in terms of cross-chain integrations and DeFi applications, and then finally release the mobile app. So we did post a very comprehensive roadmap. So if someone is interested in, they can go to our Twitter profile and dive deep into that.
Okay, cool. Okay, great. So I think you summarized pretty well what the node is going to be for.
Yeah.
Who can run a node? Can anyone run a node, or do you have to
Yeah.
have a certain
So
amount of sync tokens? How does it work?
Yeah, so as I was saying, there will be two type of nodes. So for the light node, the requirements for that will be very fairly simple because it's just responsible for the relay. So you can just run it in a Raspberry Pi or even possibly in a MacBook also.
Mhm.
But for the core node, since it comes with compute and storage, you need to have uh, an extra hardware requirement, which is going to be very much similar to what Eigen Cyclone QS Pro has. So we have been talking with an Eigen team on how we can make it really compatible and in a plug and play fashion. So people who are holding Eigen Cyclone can just plug and start running the node. Or if you can, if you know how to actually set up a cloud server, of course you can go that route. And in terms of staking, you need to have certain amount of sync tokens staked in order to create a channel ID for you as a node operator. But that also comes in with a catch that you need to have a node license, which will be a form of an NFT,
Mhm.
because the network will not be generating millions of dollars on day one. So we just don't want to, distribute the architecture too much and have unutilized resources and just, burn out the treasury for no reasons. So it's going to be, very small number of spots, and then we are going to, scale and add more spots and allow more people to join the network, run those nodes.
Right.
And I'll talk about the token utility here because it's very interesting and it's
Yes,
directly
please go ahead. Yeah.
node operators. So in terms of the utility, big thanks to our tokenomics team, Chicken, who is a emissions manager at Minswap, and the whole tokenomics committee that he has devised. to create business models, and to the whole token utility and the whole tokenomics plan with our engineering team. So why it is interesting is that people who are holding sync tokens can stake to the network in order to provide security, and by doing so, they will be earning rewards in all of these major L1s and L2s tokens. Because what's happening on the network is that you are basically we are basically creating a middleware layer between existing applications and chains and their existing user base. So all of these interactions and transaction building is happening off chain on our own network, and we are facilitating that in a seamless manner and in an intelligent manner. And in exchange of doing so, we are charging a fees on top of that. So if the transaction is happening on Uniswap, we are charging the fees in Ethereum because that's the gas fee token. If it's happening on Cardano, we are charging it in ADA. We have been talking a lot to BTC team also. So if you're using the Grail bridge to just bridge your Bitcoin, you're basically giving the fees in Bitcoin. So all of these fees later down the line is going to be collected in the treasury as is revenue, and it is going to be algorithmically distributed to our node operators, to sync token holders who are staking in the network in order to provide security. So it basically creates a flywheel, because as a small ecosystem token, you really don't have access to too much liquidity in the starting. So just accumulating your own tokens in the treasury doesn't really make sense. So we are going to have this diverse approach where we are basically relying the treasury, the community treasury, on all of these major uh, ecosystem tokens and have them collected and distributed as fees, because it becomes so much lucrative in terms of optics. Plus, it basically creates a flywheel effect where people are now incentivized to buy more sync tokens in order to stake it more and earn more fees. And it basically creates more demand, which attracts more liquidity, which basically drives more integrations in the network and more activity, which is overall good for the health of the ecosystem and the token. So that's the very interesting part, and one of our USPs, that how we are going to deploy that.
Okay, sounds really good. Great. So while we're at the token, and first of all, the page that I'm on right now is docs.syncai.network. So there's like everything written down in much more detail for everyone who wants to look into it. But while we're on the token, can you give me a little bit of information about the current token sale? What's going on? Where can I buy the token? All this kind of stuff.
So we launched on MinSwap's Launchpad, which
Mhm.
they just released their updated contracts. And big thanks to their team. Huge shout out to the whole team. To they
Big
have
shout
been
out to MinSwap. Yeah.
they have been supporting projects like us very well throughout the journey. And it's a pro rata type sale. We are allocating 36% of our token supply to raise a minimum of 2 mil and maximum of 3 mil. No, we had to reduce our min raise because of the ADA price surge, because it doesn't really make sense to charge more from the community when it is actually equaling our uh, roadmap in terms of the burns that we have calculated over the next 2 to 3 years to build out the protocol.
Mhm.
And so 36% allocation for the public sale, and extra 5% allocation for the liquidity operations. And here's also, I just want to give a shout out to the whole liquidity management team, that how we are going to actually deal with the 5% is that we are utilizing a small chunk of 200 to 300K ADA, pair it with a small chunk of the tokens from the 5% bucket in order to create the initial liquidity pool, and then use 15% of our raised data through a strategy called ascending zapsin, which basically means that you deploy that capital in terms of ADA in the market, buy back the sync tokens, pair it, and put it back in the liquidity. And we are utilizing the RNG library which Sam and the Newcast team has built to phase it out, so someone cannot really game it and time the exact transactions to really play around the token price. And what it is going to do is that it is going to absorb a lot of sell pressure and increase volatility, which is healthy for the token over a longer period of time. So that's for the raise and the liquidity management part. uh, Other thing is, we have team tokens which are vested over a lockup period of 12 months and vested over a long cycle of 36 months. Then we have a bucket for development, and a major chunk is allocated for ecosystem, because since it's a deep in project, we'll need a lot of these tokens in order to expand our node operations and community based activities. So 40% is locked there, which is going to be algorithmically distributed. And I think I covered everything. And yeah, we have like a 1.5% allocated towards like marketing, our advisors and things like that. So yeah, that's basically the entire breakdown and the dynamics around that token.
Yeah, sounds really good, and people can look this up on the website, of course, as I said. Maybe lastly, I think what's really interesting about the project is the team, because there's a lot of people in the team that are really well known and also really high quality. I work with a lot of them, of course. Let me not only in the main team and in the advisory team, but also in this liquidity management strategy team. I think that's really, really impressive. Let me scroll down here. All the people here from Xerberus, or so many people that are really from Optimify and so on, that are really well known and really respected in the ecosystem. Also, of course, Sharon with like the most handsome picture of all time. Actually, incredible, this picture. How is this man not married yet?
It's going to be very soon.
Yeah, I think so too. But yeah, so let me jump to the other page and show the actual main team again. Give me 1 second. Trying to replace the screen sharing. Yeah, exactly. So here's the team. Scroll out a little bit. Okay, doesn't work that well with scrolling out. But yeah, can you tell me a little bit about the team and how you met everyone? Who are the people that you decided to work on here? Yes.
Yeah, so first of all, starting with me, I'm at the position of CEO. And a little background about me, academics wise, I myself graduated with machine learning as one of my majors. So that really brings in my own interest in developing these AI agents, because I've been working a lot on LLMs just in my free time, experimenting with them since they're out. And then we have Sam and Fayaz in the core team. Sam is our technical lead. He is really like a full-time nerd. He knows a lot about everything
Full-time
blockchain.
nerd, I think, hits it on the nail. Yeah, that's perfect.
Yeah, and like the whole Midnight team have become such a big fan of him,
Mm.
because he just really wants to go into the nitty-gritty details and just uh, I can't even just go on how technical he is. So it's kind of like that, but he have that personality. So whenever I'm stuck, especially with some of the challenges that we really want to devise in terms of like architecture or things like that, he's the guy. He's the man. He have been in the ecosystem since past 4 years. He is a presidential award winner by government of India, so he's really a prodigy. Then Fayaz is of course our full-time full stack developer. He's also working in the Cardano ecosystem since past 3 to 4 years, with a lot of projects, like a lot of open source contributions and a lot of open source tooling that people are using, and some of the applications are even used by Cardano Foundation also.
Mm.
And this is the guy who have really led and coded all of that stuff, like the ticketing app, which Cardano Foundation used for on-sitting ticketing for Cardano Summit. And apart from that, we have been also engaging with a lot of consultant, outside people who have been industry veterans in field of AI and cross-chain, basically because we are very closely connected with the base team. So we have a couple of people there. I can't really name them because of they are working in existing positions. But our plan is to bring some of them full time after our IDO is raised, and then we have, of course, beautiful, amazing advisors like you, Patrick.
That's what I want to hear. Yeah.
And Sandro from your team, who is another beast in terms of
Yeah.
the technical knowledge. And I have had great calls with him, and a lot of inputs that he really gave helped the whole engineering team to really solve some of the issues, from like how do we want to do it in a more efficient manner when it comes to notifications, how to handle them off chain, and how to handle the integration with the dApps in a seamless manner without developing SDKs and forcing them to integrate and things like that. So big shout out to him. Then we have Imran, the shadow man in Cardano ecosystem. He's really like the Illuminati or the Cabal. He is connected with the every single project in the ecosystem, and he just whispers in people's ears and make those connections and make things happen. Then we have Chicken, who is our tokenomics lead. His name is Avinash. He's also from Hyderabad. He's in US at the moment. Absolutely beast in terms of like numbers and trading, and creating these simulations in terms of how to phase out the token rewards and inflation and manage all of that algorithmically. So big shout out to him, and he really helped us bringing all of these people from Optimify, SteelSwap, uh, other ecosystems and projects, very reputable people, and created a liquidity management committee. Because with such a huge chunk of money, I myself wouldn't trust even the handling those keys uh, uh, with just one wallet. I really don't want to have that sort of burden, and it's not the right way to do it also, because how do you expect one guy to make decisions to manage liquidity, which is protocol owned liquidity, which is in the
Right.
hands of community? So that's why we have created this council and created a mandate like US Federal Reserve, where they have certain tools, where they have certain mandate to basically help the health of the token, keep an eye on that, make sure that things don't go south. uh, of course we can't guarantee like price action, but we can guarantee preparation. So that's the part that how we are doing it. And yeah, that's pretty much it. And we are going to really go on a very big hiring spree after the IDO.
Of course.
Hopefully it's done, expand our core team. And I really wish it happens with Cardano, because coming from the VC ecosystem, I could have gone to the VC route also. But considering the whole narrative, of course, we are aware about this, famous Murad's video on how VCs and their coins and things like that. And being a core Cardano community member, I really wanted to, want to use Cardano as like a springboard and tap into those high liquidity zones in Web3, and somehow, in some shape or form, bring a certain portion of that back into the Cardano ecosystem also. Because in terms of community, I really haven't really gotten such amazing feedback and validation, especially because people have been sticking around since multiple cycles. And it's not true when you see other ecosystems, because each cycle you'll see new people jumping on narratives like new
True.
elements, new L2s, new rollups. But Cardano community have been a really integrated network state, which knows how to scrutinize things. So that's really great in terms of how
I
yeah,
agree. I
yeah.
completely agree. I think the Cardano community is very unique in crypto, and I think you can see already. There's almost 400 participants in the IDO, which is a really good number. Obviously, we're not quite there yet with the 2 million minimum raise, but I hope we can hit this, because, as you said, this project is pretty big, and you can also go down the VC route and raise VC money. But is that really the correct thing to do if you want to build a decentralized network? It's really about accessibility with IDOs and ICOs, I think, so that everyone can participate and everyone can, join. And it's not about, just everything being owned by some larger VCs and stuff. That's the Cardano way, and that's what I really like about it, and what obviously you guys are really focused on as well, true decentralization. Okay.
Yeah.
I don't have any more questions. I think we went over a lot of things and we got a lot of information. The race is live right now on minswap.org. So go there if you want to participate. Just click on Launch Ball and then you'll find it very easily. Is there anything else you want to add, or anything that I forgot to ask?
You did a pretty amazing job, Patrick. Like this interview, I can really, just send the link to everyone and get a complete overview of what we are building A to Z. So thank you for that. Really appreciate it. And just want to say that this vision have been in work since like very long. And after a lot of iterations, discussions, prototyping, it's finally here. Our delegated testnet is coming next month only. So I'm really excited about the things that we have planned for the upcoming next months. And if you liked in the audience, first of all, thank you for chipping in. And if you really liked what we are building, our vision, our go-to-market strategy, our token utility, we would be glad to have you on board as a long-term community member. And of course, best way to do is through token sales ideas. So it's live right now on MinSwap. You can go have your contribution in, and yeah, that's it pretty much.
Cool. Then thank you so much, Sam and Adnan. It was really great to see you. I hope I can join you in Hyderabad soon again. And yeah, thank you so much for your time. Good luck on the sale, and definitely looking forward to seeing what's next with SyncAI.